And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, we are back again for another edition of Weighing In. It is Josh Thompson and me, John McCarthy, along with our man behind the controls, Podcast Dave. This is Weighing In. If you are watching, tell someone about us, get them to subscribe, and they can watch us on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and as I always say, a plethora of other podcasting platforms. Make sure that you bring someone into the wealth of knowledge and wonderfulness that we bring to the world of MMA. So have them subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you want to catch the contest that Josh and I are having when it comes to t-shirts for our weighing in. They can go to prowrestlingtees.com, go ahead and put in weighing in. When you look, you're going to have all these different shirts and everything. But if you want to be on Josh's team, you're going to go to the blue corner since he's the blue side. I'm the red corner, the red side. That contest ends August 31st. When you go to that, if you're going to buy something, use the code word underdog, and that will give you 20% off. So contest is almost up. We're going to have a winner. We're going to see who's going to be. We'll send you an autographed t-shirt and maybe some other stuff. You never know.
You are going to have a winner. Yes. A winner. Winner.
I will just say, last time I looked, John was slightly ahead. So
Slightly ahead.
Just slightly.
Look at you. You're all excited, man. You're feeling like you're
I have a chance.
You're almost like Jim Carrey. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very good.
Oh, man. How you been, man? I haven't talked to you since last week. We talked a little bit yesterday on the phone, but I mean, I haven't talked to you since last week.
I'm doing good, man. Just taking care of all kinds of business.
Would you say that we are probably the best MMA podcast out there?
No, I wouldn't say that we are probably the best MMA.
You would say we are the best?
Absolutely.
I was going to say
You're going to fucking say something. Go all the way.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I mean, like, if we're talking just MMA, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I know there's a couple other good shows that talk about MMA for sure.
Well, there are. Here's the thing. And this is where you get into the whole, it's MMA or it's the UFC. Look, we talk about the UFC because it's a major promotion and it's got great fights. Yep. But we talk about ONE FC. We talk about Bellator. We talk about PFL. We talk about LFA. We talk about MMA. We don't talk about just one promotion because one promotion doesn't make up MMA. And that's a lot of the other ones I hear. They really talk about just one promotion, and that's too bad because they're missing out on an incredible world that is out there of guys fighting. And then all of a sudden, finally, they'll make it maybe to the UFC, and they'll go, "Oh, this guy's fantastic," and we've been talking about him for a long time. So.
You know what is funny? Someone brought this up to me yesterday. I don't know what I was doing. Someone sent me over a text, and I was like scrolling through. I'm like, gosh, I guess apparently a lot of the fighters that basically will probably be inducted into the Hall of Fame or already kind of into the Hall of Fame. A lot of them have, I shouldn't say Hall of Fame.
They're like UFC's Hall of Fame?
Yeah, like UFC's like Hall of Fame or like the top guys that they've all had. At some point in time, the fighters that were founded by Scott Coker. I think they were talking like Amanda Nunes, Ronda Rousey, like they were breaking them all down. They were like Cain Velasquez. His first fight was with Scott Coker in Strikeforce. I mean, I'm just simply saying like it's kind of weird when they started listing off all these names. I was like, wow, that's really impressive. Like a lot of fighters that I was unaware of that had fought for Coker that are even now that are still like doing really well in the UFC. And this was years and years ago. I mean,
you look at your code, Robbie was with the UFC, got cut by the UFC, went to Elite XC first and then went to Strikeforce and then went back to the UFC. But, Anthony Smith, he was there.
Yep.
He was there long ago and stuff. A lot of guys.
Yeah. I feel like, like there was an era of guys that the UFC had cut, and then they had went over to a couple of them fought in Pride, like Robbie had fought in Pride, a couple other guys had fought in Pride, and then they made their way over to Strikeforce, and then their careers basically were rejuvenated. You know, Fabricio Verdum, Robbie Lawler, you know, some other guys had some pretty good fights in that were in the UFC, then came over to Strikeforce and had some good fights. Who else was it? Like, I think Scott Smith, Paul Daly,
Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz, of course. How did I miss that? But like Nate Diaz started his career, I think was in Strikeforce. He had his first or second fight in his, no, he didn't have his first or second fight, but he had his in a big promotion was with Strikeforce. That was his one of his first fights. So I mean, but there was a lot of guys that I didn't even realize. And like, I didn't even, until I saw the replays of Anthony tonight, Anthony Smith. I didn't know he fought in Strikeforce. Yeah, there were so many guys. I mean, there were so many fights. I just, man, I don't know. I got to tell you, I don't know how you remember all these guys. But like you had broke it down to me before, you reffed a lot of these guys' fights. Me, I don't see them because I'm probably in the back warming up, or I'm not paying attention, or I'm not fighting on that card. That's, you know, in Columbus, Ohio. You know, I'm at home, you know, and I'm not watching the prelims, or I'm not watching the first fight of the night. I'm watching just the main card, you know, and so
makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, I like to blame CTE, but you know,
it's not it.
It's not it. You know, I think what it is as you're coming up as an athlete, you're not really paying attention to all the other fighters that are around you, except for the ones that are in your weight class or ones. No,
you're paying attention to the ones that you could possibly be fighting, because that's all that makes a difference to you, and that's okay. I mean,
look, Yoel Romero came from Strikeforce. That was another guy. You know, obviously, I can go on with like all the AKA guys, of course, with Rockhold and DC and those guys. But I'm saying,
you got those guys. You got Jacare. You got Tim Kennedy. You got a bunch of guys.
Yeah, Pat Healy also came from Strikeforce. He was good. Yeah. Remember, he beat Jim Miller when Jim Miller was like on the rise. That was a horrible. I felt so bad for him. He won submission of the night, fight of the night, and plus he won. And then he tested positive for marijuana. He lost like $120,000 in fucking bonuses. Yep.
Horrible.
I felt so bad for him, man.
For marijuana.
Which,
again, I look at that and it's so ridiculous. You know, you've had a couple of guys, you know, Nick Diaz has been caught so many times, you know, and they took years off of his career, but you know, he's done that himself too. But just, I'm mystified by it. And I've told athletic commissions, I don't know how many times, look, I've gotten in a lot of fights in my life. And when I was a police officer, I had a lot of people wanted to kick my ass. And a lot of people on, you know, alcohol, other drugs, not one on marijuana.
Yeah.
Not one. Okay. Just not one. Never did I have someone high on marijuana that wanted to whoop my ass.
That's so funny.
Okay. So if you're going to tell me it's performance enhancing, I'm sorry. I just do not agree.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny that you say that. That's hilarious.
It's just the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's flat out truth.
That's funny.
We'll get someone in the comments saying, not true. I had a guy that attacked me after smoking a huge fucking blunt.
Sure, buddy. Sure. You probably started it and instigated it, and then he probably tried to run away and you caught him. Oh, geez, man. All right. Well, let's get into these fights. What did you think of the card overall? Let's talk about the card overall first.
Yeah, you know, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, wasn't great, and part of it was the matchups. Just sometimes matchups, just as the matchmaker, you're thinking it's going to be an exciting fight. The main event, man, you know, I hate saying Rakic. I hate saying his name because I screw it up. Aleksandar Rakic, but man, he looked good. Dude, you talk about a low calf kick that was hard, and you could see the damage it did. And just when he knocked him down, I'm like, get up.
Yeah.
Don't stay down there. Make him get up. But you know, that's how tough Anthony Smith is, that he doesn't give up. But you know, Rakic looks great, man. He's strong. You can see it. His legs are strong, his hips and everything, man. He's a load.
Yeah.
At 6'4", because he's at least 6'4". And man, he doesn't have an ounce of freaking fat on him, and he's long, he hits hard, he kicks hard. His grappling seems to be, you know, getting better, because Anthony's grappling has gotten pretty damn good lately, for MMA especially. And he had no problem with anything Anthony was trying to do. So he looked really good. I was impressed by him again.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by him. I got to be 100% honest with all you guys. I had never really even heard of him until this whole fight was announced. I've never heard of this guy until this fight was announced, and I was like, all right,
Really?
so yeah, never.
Yeah.
And
He's good.
And I didn't realize how good he was until I watched his fight. And those first couple leg kicks, I was like, ooh, this is not going to go well for Anthony. But then Anthony impressed me when he was able to jump to the back right away. And I was like, all right, good. You're going to have some, but then he got slid off. And that was still kind of when they were dry a little bit when he got up onto the back. And he finally worked his way up there. But it just, to me, I felt like he was fighting from behind from the very beginning.
Swimming upstream.
And what it was, it looked like just like you were just talking about a second ago. The physical stature of Rakic is just huge. His legs, you look at guys, right? Like I'll give you an example. I look at Khabib. He maybe doesn't look big, but his bone density and things about him just physically looks big. Like his forearms are big, his wrists are big, his ankles are big.
His
like
back is big.
Yeah, and I'm like, man.
His back goes from under his arms to his freaking waist.
Yes.
If you're looking at his lats.
You're talking about Khabib,
You're going,
correct?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So like with Khabib, now with Rakic, though, when I'm looking at him, when the two of them were grappling, I was like, his calves and everything about he goes from his calf to his knee to his quad. I was like, he is very thick bone density. And though you could tell right off the bat with those first couple leg kicks, they had a huge effect on him.
He is solid. He's just a big, strong, and he's fast.
Yeah.
He's got speed. He's quick. So he looked really good. You're looking at Reyes and Jan get that light heavyweight title fight. They better look out. This guy's going to be right there, and he's going to be a load for him. So whoever wins, congratulations. And now you get to face that monster.
Yeah,
so he's tough.
Does Glover go before this guy? Because he's ranked now. I think after tonight, he's going to only be ranked 13 or 12 or something like that. Because I think Anthony was Anthony ranked? Because he dropped a lot after the Glover fight. I want to say he was like ranked number 14 or something.
Well, does that make him what, 13-2 or 14-2?
13-2.
13-2.
Yeah.
So he may have one more that he has to do, or two.
Well,
more,
he lost to Volkan.
He
lost to Volkan Ozdemir.
Yeah, I know.
A split
But
decision.
it's a matter. Exactly. That's, you take a look at who he's beaten and how he's beaten them. A lot of his, look at when he fought Jimmy Manoa. That freaking knockout was huge.
Yeah.
He starched Manoa, and so you want guys, and this was the problem that I saw with Rakic in this fight tonight. There were moments that he could have done things as far as fighter IQ that would have been very smart, and instead he didn't do those things. He maintained position and stayed safe and just won the rounds, and that's okay. But these are your chances to put guys, you don't put Anthony Smith away.
Yeah.
He's a tough dude, man. He's been a tough dude his whole career. So if you can put him away, that's saying a lot. And when you get that opportunity, you got to be smart and say, oh, I've got him hurt. He went to the ground off of those leg kicks. I want to make him stand back up on those legs so I can hit it again. Don't play into what he wants to do. Fight the way you want to fight. But other than that, I mean, if that's a criticism and it's not, it's a minor criticism, he looked really good.
Yeah, I think Rakic I think he felt maybe the power wasn't the same. Like when they got on the ground, I think he physically felt danger of the strength of Anthony Smith. Anthony's strong, physically strong, tough, but you could just tell, like I said, the stature between the two of them, he was just a lot bigger than Anthony. I mean, they said they were the same height. I was like, it didn't seem like it when they were standing face to face. Like Paul Felder said, it says these guys are the same height, but they don't look it. And they didn't look it on TV either. Rakic looked a lot bigger than Anthony Smith. My thing is Anthony coming off of a pretty nasty fight with Glover Teixeira, and the confidence probably not being what it should have been, and then having a fight like this and losing this one. He kind of, I think, needs to go back to the drawing board and regroup, refocus. Look, I'm no way am I gonna knock him. I just feel like when I watched his intro, when they were doing he spent a ton of time with family. He's doing, and he's a real family man. He's with his wife and his kids. And I love seeing that type of stuff. But I also see sometimes too, fighters that get comfortable with with being in that lifestyle. And it's hard. I got to tell you, I have friends, man, it's hard for them to say goodbye to their kids to go train every single time they need to. It's hard for them to go and travel somewhere else to go and train. That's why a lot of fighters get away from all that to go somewhere else. Now, I don't know if he travels or if he stays where he needs to be for his camps, but he just seems like a really, really good person. You know, and
great guy.
I get the feeling and the vibe that it's like he loves being with his wife, he loves being with his kids, and that I think now he said like the kids are getting older. He's finally gotten into this, like, this is how I want to be, and maybe it's a mindset, maybe it's something, I don't know. And I'm only saying this because he's coming off 2 losses. If he was having 2 wins, I wouldn't be saying shit. I'd be like, hey, you know, but I can say that I've seen fighters that after they've had kids, their demeanor changes, the way they train in the room changes, the way that they approach fights changes, everything changes. And so I hope this is a short-lived losing streak for him, you know, because I really enjoy watching him fight. He's got to get away from that being comfortable on the ground, on his back. Like, he's okay with being in the guard. There's that. And then also, too, he's okay with being like on all fours, kind of like in a huddle position where he's just covering him and not taking damage with wrist control. No. You always have to be trying to get up, always making the guy work to hold you down. He made the mistake with Glover, and Glover made him pay. And Rakic didn't really put a whole lot of pressure on him when he was doing it with a lot of the ground and pound, but he could have, you know. And Anthony needs to focus on just standing up and getting back up to his feet. And he just didn't do that. There was opportunities for him to get back to his feet, and he never capitalized on making Rakic work for it. So I don't know if that's a mindset. I mean, that really just kind of takes me right into the Robbie Lawler fight as well, because the same type of thing. It was the same type of thing. But the thing is, the difference between him and Robbie is Robbie has been there and done that. Robbie's the champion, fought plenty of 5-round fights. Robbie has been the best in almost every organization there has ever been. I think also too, at this stage in his career where he's kind of dropping in the rankings now, you can just tell the frustration level's it starts setting in the fight. There's no sense of urgency. It's just like, okay. It's almost like just accepting that it's not going your way, and now you're frustrated and you're just mad more at yourself than you are at the actual situation. You're mad at like, God, man, this sucks. Why am I here? But I get that vibe and that feeling from him a little bit. And I think that's what, 4? Is that 4 or 5 in a row? That's 4.
It's at least 4 in a row.
Yeah, it's 4 in a row. He beat Donald Cerrone, but then he lost to Tyron Woodley when he lost the title.
That's when he lost the title.
But
Cerrone was after he lost.
Yeah. So we went Woodley, and then he beat Cerrone, and then it went 4 in a row. He lost to Dos Anjos, Ben Askren, and Colby Covington, and then
he didn't lose to Ben. Sorry. Sorry.
You know what I mean?
Nope.
So okay.
Sorry.
So this for me with Robbie, the title fight, after you've been the champion for a while and he's done it for so long. I mean, we both got signed at the same time from that whole Shogun fight camp in Hawaii, whatever it was, you know, we had a card out there. And that's how long he's been doing this. I mean, that was
38 years old.
Yeah,
he's 39.
Is he 38?
38,
man. It's like, he says he still has more left in the tank, which I think he does. But do you want it? That's the thing.
Nope.
Like, I think he's got it if he wants it. But if he doesn't want it, then I think he needs to stop. That's just my opinion.
I look at it this way, and I love Robbie. And I was lucky enough. I probably did 12 to 13 of Robbie's fights. You know, some really fantastic fights.
Oh man.
You know, one of the best fights ever against him and Rory McDonald. You know, fight he had against Matt Brown that was outstanding. Just so many great fights.
His Aaron Riley fight. Remember him?
Aaron Riley was a great fight. You know, then he did Steve Berger. He was, in fact, you know, that was when Dana was trying to sell Robbie, you know, at 37.5 UFC when they did it at the Bellagio for the best damn sports shows.
Yep.
Robbie was, even though Chuck and Vitor were the main event for the best damn sports show at the time was Robbie Lawler versus Steve Berger.
Wow.
You know, and so Robbie's had that. You know, I had him when he lost to Pete Spratt and he had the hip injury and all kinds of different things. And he had I think the fight after that was Evan Tanner, and things were going bad for him. And that's when the UFC kind of let him go. But he's It just comes down to this. There's levels to this game. You know that.
Yeah.
And there comes a point when your best is not going to be enough to fight at that supreme level. Neil Magny I love him as a fighter, and I think he's fantastic. He's got an incredible gas tank. He brings a huge pace. He doesn't have a ton of power, but man, he just puts volume out there as far as the way he goes after the fight. His ground game is fantastic. He's just a well-rounded fighter. But going into this, my wife, who's, she's known Robbie forever and loves Robbie. And so, and she knows he's fighting and she wants to watch him fight. And she goes, he's a favorite in this, right? And I go, shouldn't be if he is.
No.
And I think they had Robbie as the favorite over Neil. I go, man, someone hates Neil Magny and they do not give that guy credit because he's fantastic.
No, I think it was Neil. I think Neil was negative 280. I think is what he was.
There you go. He should have been.
Yeah.
So, because I know Neil was the underdog when he fought Ji Lang from China or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can't say his name, but he was an underdog, and it's like no one gives the guy credit. He's fantastic, and I just obviously Robbie's got that one punch ability, and he's got a puncher's chance, but you don't have a puncher's chance when you don't throw.
Yeah.
And when you start to limit your game. And this is where I tell guys all the time, and you become comfortable with things. But the more it's MMA, and if you start to limit what offensive tools you use, you are making life easier for your opponent. Mm-hmm. And Robbie has become a guy that is a boxer for the most part in MMA. He's looking to land a big freaking left hand, straight left hand, or a right hook. That's what he's looking to land. Every now and then, he hardly threw any kicks until the very, the last round. He starts, launching the head kicks, but those were, that was past the time that the fight was over, really. And so you're limiting who you are and what you can do. Now, he did try to go for the takedown in the beginning, and I was thinking to myself, that's probably not a good idea. No. But, it's okay. At least you make the guy have to think about it, defend it. But then when you get stuck underneath and you see Magny and he's ratcheting in, trying to get that Darce choke set, and you see Robbie's head going down, and then there's that chance that when Neil takes those hands apart and Robbie can bring his head high, he doesn't. He sits there, and he starts playing this waiting game like, I can just let the 5 minutes go. Yeah. And you can't do that, man. You got to go. And then when Neil gets his back and he's sitting there and he's defending well and he's very calm and he's relaxed, but you're not trying to get out. Just like you were talking about with Anthony Smith, you've got to have some urgency in this to say, I cannot stay here with this guy on my back. Yes, I can make it to where he's not submitting me, but you're going to lose the round and you're going to lose this fight. You've got to, at a certain point, say, I've got to step on the gas. I got to go. And from what I'm seeing, I just don't see it there anymore. He has lost that little bit of speed, that little bit of explosiveness that made it to where he was dangerous. Because even when he was in trouble, he could snap and that explosiveness could come forward and he could land a shot that hurt you and all of a sudden you're out of the fight. I just don't see it the same anymore. No. That explosiveness is gone. And that, that comes sometimes with age and stuff. And I love Robbie, but when you are looking at a guy that, has done what he's done and what the UFC is now paying him stuff, they're not going to give him chumps.
No.
And I don't know if if he would even want to fight those chumps. He's got to fight someone that I think that, at least makes him like, okay, it has some kind of meaning to me. The guy, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I don't want to. I want to talk more about the Robbie situation, but I want to also give due to Neil Magny because, like you said, all people do is count him out. And every time he fights, you and I on this show talk about how good he is because he's phenomenal. And I've caught myself several times saying, "No, he's going to lose that fight," and then he goes out there and wins. And I'm like, oh, wow, where did this guy come from? Like every single time he has a great performance, good game plan. He executes his game plan. He uses his length and his range. Sometimes the first round doesn't go his way because you can tell he's not a powerful guy. He's not someone that uses a lot of power in everything he does. But he changed things together really well. He'll hit you with a stiff jab, go to the head kick right after that, then finish with a push kick. That keeps you guessing where everything is. He puts his combinations together very well. And as you saw tonight.
And he's got that annoying tennis thing of like girls when they hit the tennis racket, and ha, ha, ha. And he's always every shot. And after a while, it's like, just shut up. You can hit me. Don't talk to me while you're doing it.
Things that I don't notice, obviously, John does. It's like
he's always making the sound when he hits. And that's like, it's going to intensify that power that he has. He doesn't have power. But man, he's got volume, and he definitely puts volume out.
Yeah, he just keeps continuously dishes it out. And by the second and the third round, you're on your bike, or you're trying to slip punches, and occasionally they slip through. And when they slip through, they're touching you, and it's making you more tired as you go on. He just keeps going and going and going. And what I liked tonight that he did, I was very impressed with, is he understood, and I'm surprised more people haven't capitalized on this against Robbie Lawler, is that Robbie has never learned how to technically stop being from the clinch, from being kneed. All he's ever done really is he's just buckled in and kind of blocked with his arms. And I think he's trying to punch his way out or push on the face on the way out, but he's never really learned how to actually get out of that clinch position. And he's been doing it his whole career. I've recall from Strikeforce days of him doing that. And I'm thinking to myself, how has someone not fixed this? As a coach, how have you not tried to fix this? Somebody with his power and his ability to throw elbows, he's nasty good. But Neil Magny had a great game plan as you saw today. He can grapple. He was able to get the takedown. When he got the takedown, he has good positioning. I liked what he was doing. It looked like he was trying to set up that Darce, like you were saying. But there was also some availability there for that Japanese necktie if he wanted to sit off on it and also hook the leg. So there was a lot of things that were involved in that one position because of his length and his range. You got to be very careful for. But I'd get concerned with guys like Anthony Smith and guys like Robbie Lawler who get comfortable just hanging out down there because they know they're not going to take too much damage. And the submission, sure, the threat's there. But if you can just hang out, like you said, you're losing the round. And in a 3-round fight, you can't afford to lose a round. You can't afford to lose 2.5 minutes of any round, and Robbie, I think over the years has gotten comfortable with just like, hey, I can just wait it out, whatever, and I'll get you when I get on my feet. But tonight he looked a lot slower. He was only, like you said, there was no output whatsoever. It was only let's say he threw 15, 20 punches around, if that. And
I don't even think he threw that.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. I just, I'm throwing it out there, but that's not a lot of punches in a round. You know what I mean?
You can go back and watch his fight with Colby Covington. Didn't throw.
Yeah.
It's like you can't win if you don't throw. If that's your way of winning and you don't do it, you're not going to win. Yeah. Well, it was the same thing again tonight. And it just keeps happening. And then when something keeps happening, there's a reason behind it. And whatever it is, I look at it and I go, hey, Father Time starts to take away things from everyone. And it's at different times and stuff. And the toughest weight classes to keep yourself in that upper echelon. Lightweight and welterweight. No doubt about it. Because that's where you get the glut of good athletes, average size guys. You have a glut of them. And man, when you start to lose the speed to compete, then you start waiting more because you want to be sure that you're accurate when you hit. And when you wait, bad things happen because you're just not making things happen. And then you just keep waiting to the point where the fight's over and let's say you've thrown 30 punches the entire fight. 30 punches in 15 minutes. That's one every 30 seconds. That's a lot of standing around.
I just feel like he's been through this phase before, and I feel like he could potentially come back if he wants to. Because when he fought Melvin Manoff in Strikeforce, and when he fought a couple other guys in Strikeforce, he kind of went through that phase of just stalking after people and just loading up and throwing ones and two. Today was not that, though. Today was just he was waiting for the fight to happen and then trying to counter. But you can't counter someone who's longer and faster. and it's hard to get in and get the reach. I mean, he was having a hard time closing the distance. He couldn't get inside that phone booth at all. The fucking door was locked. So,
yeah, well, when he was at Strikeforce, he was at 185.
Yes.
And he was fighting, you take a look, and he fought Babalu and just, had his moments where he looked okay, but Tim Kennedy didn't look good. Lorenz Larkin just got lit up because he was waiting.
Yeah.
Lorenz Larkin's just lighting him up. And so that was a different time because he still had speed. It was really, in my opinion, what he was doing to get himself ready for the fight.
Yeah.
He was living off of the athleticism that he brought. And he wasn't honing it. He wasn't shining it. He wasn't taking it, bringing it to that next level. Then he went back and he started doing those things with the right people and getting good training and good training partners. And it brought him to that point where, now you're back where you belong. Now I think he's training hard. I think he's good. He's with the right people.
Yeah.
It's just that when he gets into the cage, he's waiting for that perfect moment, and that perfect moment is not going to come.
Yeah, especially in a 3-round fight.
Can't wait for it. No.
The next fight was Lamas and this other, or no, it was Grasso. It was Grasso.
Yeah, Grasso and Kim.
Yeah,
that's a good fight.
It was.
That was my favorite fight of the card.
Was it?
That one and Lamas.
I thought the Lamas fight was pretty good. Yep. Alexa Grasso, right? And what was the other girl's name? I knew her last name was Kim. Ji Young Kim. What I'm gonna say here is Alexa Grasso was way faster, way tighter with her technique. Everything she did was very impressive. She moved her head just enough outside of being hit, and she got off no matter what. Even when Kim landed something, she threw right back and made Kim pay for it. I was thoroughly impressed with her performance tonight. Grosso's performance.
Thoroughly impressed with her after the first round.
Yeah.
Because she changed her game plan and did exactly what you're saying. Because the first round, she went out there and thought she was going to lay heavy shots on someone and starch him. And she was getting lit up for a little bit there and changed her approach. And I give her nothing but credit because it was that change in the way she was able to say, okay, plan B, we're going to do this a different way. That's what got her the win. And she looked fantastic doing it.
Kim's got one hell of a chin on her.
She does. She took some big shots. They both took big shots in that fight.
I was like,
throughout the entire thing.
Holy shit. She's taking some shots. Anyways, it was a very good fight. It wasn't as contested after, like you said, after the first round.
Yeah.
I thought Alexa Grasso ran away with it after that.
Ran away the second, third
touching
round.
her and touching her and touching her. And then Kim fell into the Robbie Lawler syndrome where she was just trying to land the one or two big shots to get her out of there. And just by then it was too late. I'm surprised that Kim didn't try to throw the combinations more or use her legs more. She didn't use a whole lot of her kicks with her length and her range. I'm surprised she didn't use more push kicks or more, head kicks or something like that to kind of keep Alexa Grasso honest with her hands to her face. She was on point. I've tried every time I work with a young fighter, I tell them everything leaves faster from your chin. So, and I know everyone wants to be Floyd Mayweather. They want to have their hands down. They want to do all that. I get it. I understand. Okay. They all want to try to look pretty, but the problem is that defensively, it doesn't work as well. And offensively, also, it takes a lot longer to get there. So if you're not a fast fighter like Floyd Mayweather is, okay, then you're going to have a very hard time landing clean shots without getting countered. And, and the guy that fought Lamas, Bego, anyways, Algeo. Anyways, that guy, he likes to fight with his hands down. He's also very, very long and a lot longer than Lamas was. So when you're talking about in terms of with Kim, she should have used that length and that range to her advantage, and she never did. And every time she stepped in, she tried to land the one shot. She loaded up so much or she threw so hard, she left herself in that position. And Alexa Grasso she threw 2 and 3 punches right after that, and she landed clean. Very nice job on the footwork as well. It's hard to stay on your bike that long and not get tired. She looked phenomenal. I think she might be better at this weight class. We'll see. I mean, this goes back to
definitely better.
This goes back to your argument that cutting weight is not good, not beneficial. But I think it also is. I think it's different for each weight class. It's hard. It's hard for guys it's hard for people to give up. She had to give up 10 pounds. I get it. So she's up to the 10-pound mark. But for people that go from 155 to 170.
115 to 125.
Yeah. from 155 to 170. That's a big jump from 170
Sure
to
it is.
185. That's a big
You're
jump.
right.
And those guys
I
are
agree.
huge. So like I said, if we had weight classes every 10 pounds, I'd be like, why are you fucking cutting weight? Like, it's just, I have no idea why, So for me, I always felt good at 155. I probably would have never have fought at 170, even though I walked around at 170. I would have never have fought at 170. But I mean, I understand guys that have full, like bigger figure bodies. Like, Donald Cerrone's what, 6'1"?
Yep.
Maybe a little bit taller. I think he's 6'1" though. But he's thick bone, like we were talking about with Rakic. He's got thick calves, thick legs. I mean, like Cerrone's thick bone. Like his bone density is huge. So I mean, the rest of there's guys that could do that. I was never one of them. So, I mean, like, I mean, I want to remind people, I cut down to 143 to fight Kid Yamamoto in 2 weeks. So it was on a 2-week notice fight. So that's, I could have got down to 40, to 45 if I wanted to.
You did.
Never
got to
desired.
43.
Yeah. Never desired to do that ever again. But I think she's found a good weight class for her. She's not going to become champion at that weight class as long as Shevchenko is in there around and still alive.
Who is?
Shevchenko is going to be the champion for a long time.
So let's be honest.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, but it does make for a fun. I think it does. Once she gets into her own, she's 27 now. I feel like that kind of could be her prime. Maybe get into that 27 to 31 age. I think it's for the women in fighting could be their prime. Maybe a little bit older as well, 32. I think she will do well. I don't know how old Shevchenko is. Maybe she will old person out and Alexa Grasso.
Old person out, you mean retired.
She retired. There you go. Maybe Father Time will catch her. But I'm saying, Alexa Grasso, she's young, man. Alexa Grasso is young. So, I mean, but I like stylistically, if she matures, I think a little bit more as a fighter. I'm not saying she's going to beat Shevchenko, but it would be a fun fight. If she matures a little bit more, she's going to need more maturity. But
yeah, but it's the kind of fight that she had tonight that tells you, yeah, you're right. She could be someone as you look going on in the future that could face Shevchenko and give her a good fight. Yeah. I'm not saying I think she's going to beat her, but she could give her a good fight because she showed that she has the technical ability to do a variety of different things, to approach a fight differently, to go in and think that, I'm going to start to steamroll this person. Oh, that's not working. Well, let me start to use movement. Let me use angles. Let me use combinations. Let me just keep on touching my opponent and put the volume on him. And that's what she did. And that says a lot about her fight IQ and her abilities as a fighter. She can change it up. She can do things different. So, the thing about Shevchenko though is she's so good on the feet.
Yeah.
But her ground game is,
I was just going to say that,
supremely underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, completely underrated. She's good on the ground because you watch the way she approaches what she does when she's on the ground. And you go, someone taught her right because she's got it. She understands how to position. She understands just the base and the balance and where to put pressure because not everyone does. And that's what controls your opponent and makes them work hard while you don't have to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Who's in her weight? Who else is in her division? Oh, these girls here?
Yeah, this is 25.
Okay, so that put her in the top 15 because the girl Kim was, I think, number 14. So that would put her in that, I guess 14 probably. 14, 13, 14, somewhere there.
Yeah.
So
you can take a look at all those girls. Okay. All of them. And I love Roxy Modafferi. Doesn't stand a chance against Shevchenko. Araujo, no. Lee, no. Alexis Davis, no. Sorry. I mean, it's just Lauren Murphy. I love her. Tough girl. Awesome person. Doesn't have the speed she needs for Shevchenko. Got a great ground game, but and Cynthia Calvillo, she's good. She's really good on the ground.
Yeah.
But she's not good enough on the ground to stay with Shevchenko.
Yeah, she's been
not going to work for her.
She's been training at AKA now, but obviously during the COVID stuff, so she hasn't been there as much. But she was training a little bit there beforehand. So we'll see.
Caitlin Chikugian, she's already faced Shevchenko, and look at what happened.
Yeah. But where does Alexa Grasso fit into there for you in those positions?
I would say that Alexa Grasso right now would move up somewhere right along the level of Andrea Lee or Macy Barber, right in there. I think she's that level of fighter.
Alexa Davis kind of area.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, I'm interested to see where she goes from here at 27 years old. And there was a lot of hype around her early in her career. I think, didn't she beat Cynthia Calvillo?
I don't know.
Or did Cynthia Calvillo beat? Yeah, I think Cynthia either. I think
Cynthia beat her.
Cynthia beat her.
They never fought.
Oh man.
When Alexis came in from Invicta, she had a big fight at Invicta that was the day before the UFC. I can't remember which one it was. And Dana went to that fight, and that's when he signed her. And she just put on a great performance. But I truly believe that the weight cut, because she was not only was she doing a weight cut, she was doing it to the point she couldn't even make the weight.
Yeah.
And she was killing herself trying to make it. And then you could see her performance lacked. And if she had made that same weight cut for this fight, she would have died off in the end of that second round, third round. She would have not had the ability to be on, the movement that she was using that was making her successful in the fight.
Yeah.
So it's just the difference.
Well, her teammate went through the same thing who fights for Bellator, Aleksandar Lara. Yeah. She went through the same thing. She was cutting down to 25, and she just was like, look, I feel more comfortable at 35. So we've been fighting her at 35. And she looks great there. And she looks phenomenal there. She's looked a lot better, I feel like, at that weight class.
Yep.
Problem is we don't have that weight class. That's the problem. It goes 25 to 45. So, but I mean, that's what I like about Bellator is there's no reason for the fighters to continuously try to cut the weight. If two fighters can agree on, hey, instead of fighting at 55 or fighting at 25, let's fight at 35. And we're both okay with that. I think that makes sense. I think it's kind of nice.
Okay. Since you're talking about women's MMA and we don't have that weight class, what do you take of the fact that the UFC is going to have Amanda Nunes against Megan Anderson, and Megan Anderson is on her last fight of her contract?
Yeah. What do you mean? What do I take away with it? Well, if she wins,
in my opinion, she wins. She's the champion.
It extends her contract though,
and it extends her contract automatically,
yes.
So that they're saying we're safe.
Yep.
If she wins, and that way we can even have a rematch. And if she loses, I think they get rid of the featherweight division. They don't have anybody.
Yeah.
Well, name the fighters that they have signed. They got Felicia Spencer and Megan Anderson and Amanda Nunes. That's it.
Yeah.
So I think if Megan loses, that division's gone.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to close it down.
Dana did come out earlier this year and say that he's working hard to get the featherweight division belt. So
I mean, I know it seems like we always dog on the UFC, but I will continue.
I'm not dogging on it. I just looking at it the way it appears, because they have it to where if Amanda wins, they got nobody else.
Yeah,
really. And if Megan wins, well, they have an automatic. We can do that fight again with Amanda, because Megan's the champion and Amanda would want that fight again. So, okay, we're good. I don't know.
I don't think Megan. I don't think Megan gets out of the second round.
She'd be lucky to get out of the first round.
Yeah,
right.
I mean that's what I think.
I like her as a person. She's just not on the same level as Amanda.
No. I mean, I don't know. I mean, realistically, I don't know. I mean, Coker's trying to build up his division as well. There's just not a lot of girls at 145.
Yeah,
there really isn't. I mean, you see the same thing going on in PFL with Caitlin Harrison, Kayla Harrison, and what is she? But she's at 155. There's even less. There's even less girls.
No one there.
There's less girls. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would like to see a 35-pound division in Bellator, but
Strikeforce too.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it because girls like Aleksandar Rakic, and also too Kat Zingano right now has been talking to me about how she kind of feels that the 135-pound weight class would be better suited for her than 145. So I mean, I understand, but we'll see. And then Liz Carmouche also, I think, would be better off at 135 as well versus trying to cut down to 25. And then she's not a big girl. Kat's not really a big girl either, but trying to both.
Oh, I don't know. Kat's bigger than Liz.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. But I'm saying in terms of having to make the weight down, I don't know if Kat can make 25.
No.
I think she can make 35 just fine. 45, I think, is kind of where she walks around, I think 50. She could make 45 no problem, but making 35 would be Would be a struggle, but she could do it. 25, I think, is just not even in the books.
She'd make, she made 35 for most of her career. So.
Yeah. And then Liz Carmouche fighting at, 25. I mean, I'm interested to see because she's teammates with Alima Lane McFarland. So that's a sticky situation. So it makes you wonder.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. But fun. I think both of them have already commented on the fact that, hey, it's a job and this is what we do, and the title's on the line, we're fighting for it. So that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to Ricardo Lamas, and I don't want to butcher this guy's name. Algeo. it's Algeo. Algeo.
Is it Algeo?
It's Algeo. Yeah. It's exactly how.
How about Senor Perfecto?
Senor Perfecto. It was so funny when they introduced him, when Buffer, I think, introduced him that way. I was like, is that his real fucking name? His real nickname? Crazy. I gotta tell you, he's fucking pretty tough.
He's good.
The kid was tough. Where the hell has this kid been fighting at?
He's good, man. He was tough as hell.
Man, he was tough as hell. I was like, where the hell did you come from?
CFFC, same place Ricky Bandejas came from, out of New Jersey, man.
This Brendan Longnong or whatever it is, this Brendan guy, yeah, had beat him.
From England. Yeah,
but that guy's talking hella shit on Twitter. I saw the post saying I would have got Lamas out of there. I was like, oof. I mean, maybe potentially, but I think with Lamas, right? He's 38 years old, says he still has something left in the tank. He did what he needed to do tonight. But this is when we were talking about earlier with Robbie Lawler. Let me talk to you about with Lamas. The thing I have with Lamas right now is he found a way to win.
Yep.
Like he did whatever he had to win. Because I had him win in the first, but I had him lose in the second. I think that's how it went. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, it was 1-1 I had going into the third.
Yeah.
I had it close though also, I think, in that first round, but I think it was 1-1 going into the third. He just came out and did exactly what he needed to do. And this is where you're going to run into, how old's the other guy? He's 31. When you talk about veteran material, that's veteran material. Knowing what you need to do to win the fight. Doesn't matter if it's pretty. I don't give two shits about it being pretty. I care about the fucking W in the win column when I'm done with this thing. And that's exactly what he did. I don't know how much longer Ricardo Lamas is going to fight, but he needed that win. And you could tell there was a lot of emotions going on in his post-fight interview, and he got a little emotional talking about his son and things like that. There's a lot. And like when I talk about the Anthony Smith thing, it all builds up. And the fighters, they're human beings, and they have lives at home, and they got families at home. And, and I had this conversation with Trevor Prangley a lot because, he had two boys, and every time he would leave them for 8 weeks and 10 weeks to come down here, and live with me and, sleep in, in the spare bedroom. And it's like, man, wake up every morning, make your own food, do your own life. It's like, it was a grind. Majority of the time it paid off. And when it didn't pay off, it was like, fuck, why am I doing this? My kids miss me, this and that. And this is also too before FaceTime was as popular as it is now. So he really was just on the phone talking with the kids and trying to get young kids' attention, for a long enough period of time. Be like, hey, outside of just saying, hey, I miss you, I love you, bye. And that's kind of what Trevor was going through, is like, you really don't get a chance to interact with your kids. Now with FaceTime, you can see them and talk to them. But you could tell by the look with Ricardo Lamas on his face when he was talking about his son, how important it is to him to, be there as a father, be there as, not just be there as a father, but also be an athlete to put food on the table. And there's a lot of pressure that goes into it. And I feel like I'm seeing that a little with Anthony Smith. I feel like I'm seeing it a little bit with Ricardo Lamas, and he found a way to win tonight, and that was impressive. I hope he fights again at least one more time. But then every time you win, I'm going to say it. I hope you fight again. But when you lose, I'm going to say, okay, I hope you hang it up. I mean, it's just how it goes. It's just how it is, But I thought he looked good tonight. He struggled a little bit in that second round, but then he found the game plan, and it worked for him, man. It was good. But that guy he fought was tough. I think
he struggled throughout a lot of the fight.
Yeah.
He did, because he was, when you have a last minute replacement, and that's what he had, many times those guys have been watching you fight, numerous times, and you have no idea who they are or what they're good at. Your coaches don't have a lot of time to break it down, and your game planning is just very quick. Hey, he does this well, and you're just not ready for the way that guy comes and brings the fight. And I thought Lamas did a really good job of bearing down and doing exactly what you said. He showed veteran status, and he was a wily fighter.
Yeah.
He did the things that he needed to do in a gritty way to get the win. And you got to give him, all the props. That was not an easy win for him to get, and it's, and it was in my opinion, that was a tough fight for him to take because he needed the fight, but it wasn't going to do him any good as far as winning it. Bad things can happen if he loses it.
Yeah.
So that plays in the back of your mind too. And I thought he really showed a lot of who he is.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Ricardo Lamas is just, man, he's so tough. The fight I had with him and Max Holloway, because Max Holloway put it on him for a lot of that fight. And in the last 10 seconds, they both, they pointed to the center and stood there and just winged shots at each other.
Yeah.
And I go, both of you are freaking nuts. But, it was an awesome, just an awesome display of, hey, I'll let it all hang out. Doesn't matter. I don't care about the results. Let me just go after it. And that's the way I look at Lamas as the fighter. He's always been a guy who'll give you everything he has.
Yeah, I feel like he never got the respect he deserved. Like a little bit earlier in his career, like they never really put him up on a pedestal. Like he came in and threw down, and he was always a grinder, always someone that would just stand toe to toe with you like he did with Max. And that he was fine with that. And I feel like he never kind of broke the mold of kind of being a star or somebody that people attach themselves to. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. He had a very entertaining style of fighting.
He had that 5 round, he went against Aldo for the championship. Went 5 rounds with him.
Yeah.
But, he lost those rounds sometimes just by a little bit. I thought he fought well in it, but yeah, he's never been that guy that, the promotion has seemed to really get behind. And I'm not saying anything bad about the UFC for that. You can only do that so much, and you got to see something in the person. But I don't know. They know, that whole thing about how many butts is he putting in the seat. They have a better marker to that than I do. So if that's the reason why, I kind of understand it. But he's a great fighter, tough as hell.
Yep. Hopefully that's not his last fight. I want to see him do another one.
Oh God, no. God, no.
What other fights are on there? There was one I wanted to talk to you about. There was one where it ended right at the bell. There was one on the prelims that ended right at the bell.
That was yeah.
The where would it go back up? Boom, boom. It was not Patolia. Oh, Zach Cummings. Zach Cummings and who is it? Chirico?
Alessio?
Yeah, Alessio Di Chirico. Yeah, anyways.
Chirico.
Zach Cummings head kicks him at the buzzer. The 3 minute. The guy gets up, stumbles away, falls.
Yeah.
Fight should be done?
No.
Why not?
Fight was done.
Fight was done, but it should have been waved off?
No, fight was done.
Was he out? Doesn't he have to get up and walk back to his corner?
Stop. I want you to think about this.
John, I want you to answer this, Kate. Damn it. No, don't sugarcoat it.
No, the fight goes, and when Zach launches that kick right at the bell, it lands right at the bell, right? Bink, ding, right? And you see Mark Smith was the referee. He comes in and he's like stopping, but his hands are a little shaky because he's a little bit confused. It's like, should I call it?
Yeah.
Well, he sees Alessio turning and getting up.
Mm-hmm.
And so right there, it's like, he's getting up. He's not out. If he was out, the fight would have been called. All right. But he wasn't out and he was getting up. He can get knocked down. Okay. So now you've got 2 seconds from the time the bell rings and he's getting up and then he stumbles
and falls.
But he's not going to get hit anymore. Okay. The fight's over. And yes, he stumbles and falls, but is he out? So if Mark Smith had wanted to, he could have waved his hands and said, I'm calling this a knockout win since his brain was altered. And he could have done that, but I thought he did the right thing in saying, I'm going to let it go to the judges' scorecards because, this is the last minute thing. Because I'm telling you right now, Zach Cummings was losing that round up to that point. That kick made him win the fight.
Got it.
So it was handled no problem at all. He can make that determination. I'm going to let this go to the cards because the fighter wasn't out. If the fighter was out, the fight is over.
Now, had that happened between rounds 2 and 3, then what?
Different.
That's what I'm asking. Talk to me.
Okay.
Let's hear about the big brain on.
Do we have a fighter? Do we have a fighter that could be put in a position to accept more damage? Yes.
After a minute break, though.
And so you're going to sit there and you're going to let that fighter go back to his corner. You're going to utilize that 1 minute of time to look at him, bring a doctor in to look at him, make sure that he's able to function, do little things. Yep, he's good to go. All right, we'll put him back out there. If not, we're going to call this fight. If he's not responding the right way, we're going to call the fight there. So, everything is, people look at things and they think everything can be done the same way in every situation. You can't. There's ways of going through things, and sometimes you'll have specific things happen. In this situation, when Mark Smith had that right at the end of the round, he had the ability to say, I'm going to let this go to the scorecards, and that's what he did, and I thought it was the right call.
You know what? I thought so too.
Good for you.
Yeah. What other fights were on that card?
There was the one.
Which one? The one? Just the one? Just that one,
Just the one. That one. The, God dang it, Brady. Sean Brady fight.
Sean Brady.
Man.
Yes.
Dude, he has got a ground game and a half. That dude's a freaking, you talk about we would have guys and we call him the brick shit house. Built like a brick shit house, strong as a freaking ox. That dude has got that. When it comes to that fight hitting the ground, when it hits the ground, that dude's got a chance of beating anybody. Stand up, he's good.
Yeah.
He was getting pulled in by Aguilera on some. Aguilera kept giving that feint where he's got a hitch in his giddy up, and a coach is going to catch it, and they're going to take advantage of it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But Sean Brady wasn't catching it, and Aguilera was having some success on the feet. But man, I'll tell you what, that one arm guillotine that he did and the way he pressed his body into his hand to create that pressure, beautiful job. Just a beautiful, beautiful submission.
Paul Felder said he'd been in that position several times. He's like, it is not comfortable. He's like, he's super strong. He's like, I've never been put in a guillotine with a guy with someone who has that much strength in that position.
Everybody's got a different squeeze.
Yep.
You try to tell people, you go, man, you don't know what that guy's squeeze is.
Yep.
There are guys that you can have a guy squeeze you and go, I could take that all day. And then the next guy, and you go, holy Jesus.
Yep.
Man, I thought my head was going to explode.
Yeah, there's different ways of doing it as well. So like there's guys like Mike Swick, right? It was painful to be caught in a guillotine by him. It wasn't like as if it was choking you as much as it just hurt. So bony and just it was across your throat. It just trachea. It hurt.
He was crushing those little cartilage rings, man. Pushing them so they touched on the side.
And then Rockhold has a very good step over single arm guillotine like he did tonight, like Sean Brady did tonight. Exactly like how he did it. So he goes right to like trying to go for that. You remember Cody McKenzie, how he'd push in with his wrist. Luke would go for that. When you didn't get it, he would just step over and mount and then go palm to chest and then just sit into you and base out with left hand. He was physically strong that way as well. And there was other guys when I fought Jay-Z Cavalcante. Good God, he almost choked the shit out. I was this close. I remember that fight. I was this close to tapping.
You were gurgling, baby.
I was. And when I popped my head out of there, I was like, okay, you got about 30 seconds to get your shit together, buddy, because you're losing this round. Yeah, I mean, that was it. He got on tight and it was quick arm in, and it was like, holy shit. I had no way of figuring out how to get out of there. And it was a tight squeeze.
That's when you got snot bubbles blowing.
Oh man, it was brutal. So I mean, there is a difference in guys when they attack that type of position. It's so funny that submission's been around for a while, and I have yet to have trained with somebody that had a really good one in our gym. There was never like I would say probably the guy that had the best one was probably Gray Maynard. but he never used it. He never really wanted to use his submissions, but his was fucking tight, and he had a squeeze. I mean, his wrestling, his squeeze was nasty. He just
the guy who really had a good squeeze on a guillotine is Jake Shields.
Oh yeah,
Jake Shields always had it, man. He had a tight ass squeeze. Man, he put me in one time. I was like, all right, that's enough. I'm done.
But see, I felt like Jake's isn't. It's not strong. His positioning was so good that it seemed like effortless to him. He latched it on. He knew exactly where to grab, and it was like, oh, I'm okay. Next thing you know, he's just like, whoop.
And it was the way he would turn his arm so that blade went right across and got stuck up into that position of your neck. It's like, damn, that's tight.
Yeah, but he was good, man. Jake's game was just so basic, but so damn
good, tight,
and it worked on almost. I've seen him grapple against some of the best black belts in the world, and he just made them look like they never even belonged on the mat with him. I was like, wow. And for someone who never really train gi, never, it was all just no gi, phenomenal.
Yep,
phenomenal grappler. No, I agree. Sean Brady looked phenomenal. The calf kicks I felt like were having an effect a little bit early. Christian Aguilera, he didn't keep capitalize on them, and then Sean Brady was able to get to position and win. I thought
I'm looking forward to see him in the future more. He's good.
Yeah,
he's really good. He's strong. You can see it. His stand up is good. Technically, it's good. There was things that I thought he should have taken advantage of that he wasn't able to with it. That'll come. That's he's only got 13 fights.
Yeah. So, 13-0. That's 13-0.
Pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. Can't get much better.
There was another fight on there that I wanted to talk about. I can't say the guy's last name. Impa Kasanagan. God, good thing I'm not an announcer.
Him against Maki?
Yeah, him against Maki Patolo. Yeah. Maki, all he had to do was he just had to throw more. He's letting himself get pushed around, and here's the problem. He tried to stay at distance. If he would have fought him in a phone booth, I think he would have won.
Had a better chance.
Yeah, he would have had a better chance of winning. Instead, he stayed on the distance where he was where I don't know the guy's name. I'm gonna call him Impa. Impa, that's his first name. It looks like he was faster and longer. I don't understand why he was staying on the outside. Maki should have been on the inside, trying to dirty box him, stay out of the clinch, stay out of that clinch area, but just get in that tight knit phone booth and box him up. I mean, Maki's got one hell of a chin. I'll tell you that. Took some clean shot. Both guys took some clean shots. But it looked like it was going to be a great fight going into the first round. I was like, wow, this is going to be a great fight. And then Impa, I didn't want to butcher the guy's last name. He just started kind of running away with it as the fight went on. It was landing the cleaner shots.
Well, I thought that they were going back and forth, but there was a series in the first round that Impa hit Maki Patolo with, changed Maki's opinion of the fight. Yeah. He started backing off real fast. You could tell that it stung him. He was feeling that buzz, and he never got back into setting his feet and going after Impa the way he was up to that point. And that was he just changed as his approach to the fight from that point on. And that's why Impa walked away with it, because Impa won every round.
Yeah, I thought it was going to shape up to be a really good fight, and then it kind of, like I said, Impa, he kind of ran away with it, and I was like, but it looked like in the first round it was going to shape up to be a great fight, and I'm like, just didn't work out. All right, well, what else? I mean, we've pretty much talked about this whole card
as much as
we could. What else? What else is there? What you got for us? Give us some news.
All right, so
wait. Before we get moving on, why was the main event a 3-round fight?
In this one, I'm not sure exactly why. I had heard the last one was because, it was the co-main, and by the time that it switched to the main to do that to the fighters, so it might have been the same situation. I don't know.
Comment section, okay? Do your homework.
There you go. They'll tell us.
Let us know. Let us know how dumb we are. Let us know what you got there for us.
We're supposed to know all that stuff.
Yeah. Podcast Dave, what you got?
I don't care if it's 3 or 5.
I actually prefer when it's 3, to be honest, unless it's for a title. I don't like that these guys are fighting for the same amount of pay for a 5-round fight and knocking years off their lives for a 5-round fight. That's the same amount of pay.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But there are times.
You don't think it's good? Sorry, you go, John.
Do I don't think it's good for what? Go ahead, Dave.
Oh no, I was just gonna say you don't think it's good practice for somebody to like be going for
so much better through that mic than you did on the other one. No. So what I think is this: I think, look, if this is a number 1 contender spot, let's have you fight a 5-round fight against somebody else who may potentially be another number 1 contender spot. I'll give you an example. Like if it's gonna be it's not gonna be Justin Gaethje, but Dustin Poirier versus whoever. Tony Ferguson. To me, it should be a 5-round fight because that's going to catapult whoever it is. Like, hey, he's going to be next in line. That's also getting their body ready for another 5-round camp to get them into a routine, and I'm okay with that. But when you're talking about guys, like tonight, Rakic and Anthony Smith, I think it should have been a 3-round fight. Anthony didn't have anything else in the gas tank after 3, so there was no reason to go 4 and 5. It didn't make sense. I'm glad it was 3. There's just no reason. I think when you get in the 6, 7, 8 category, that's kind of where those guys don't need to be fighting 5-round fights yet. Okay. When they get into that 2, 3, and 4 and 5 in that top 5, let's have them fight, because then that lets them know that they're ready for the title shot. They're getting there. They're in that conversation that there needs to be a separation between it. And I think that's just me being a fighter thinking to myself, these guys already are putting their body through a ton of shit.
It's all about mileage.
And then I want to see these guys fight for a long time. I want to see, this is their dream. I want to see them make a lot of money. And I want to see them fight for a long time and take care of their families and do what they love doing, because none of these guys, when they get done, want to get a fucking real job. So I don't want them to. I want them to keep doing this. I want them to have a long life. I want them to have a long career in these types. And so I think fighting 5-round fights, especially some of these fighters that are like 26, 27, 28, fighting 5-round fights. I'm like, damn, you could be shortening your career by, 2-3 years. That's a lot of money when you're talking 2-3 years. That's a ton of fucking money.
Hey, Dave, pull up Maki Pitolo if you can. Because I want to know how many fights has he had in the last, since COVID, and we started, let's say, from May. I think he's had 3 fights in the UFC since May.
Shut up. Really?
I think so.
No way.
Come on.
He fought in June, August, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
Yep.
I wonder, where's he from? Is he from the Contender Series?
No, man, he's from Bellator.
Oh, he was on Contender.
He was on Contender. He was on Contender. Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah. Jeez. I don't know. I mean, when you're fighting that much as well. I mean, I went through those stages though too. I think one time I had 5 or 6 fights in 1 year.
Well, there's been quite a few guys, and it's interesting to see, and it's partly because they've got the Fight Island, and then they're doing all these shows at Apex, but they're not making guys; they're having guys fight quite often, because I think they're having some difficulty getting, all these fights and matching guys up. And so you got certain guys like Maki who are willing to say, hey, I'll take that fight. I'll take the next fight. Just, give me another one. So some guys are getting, they're having a good financial year in 2020, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for them. I'm glad they're staying busy, because a lot of these guys, they either can't get the test done in time to fight, or they do take the test and they test positive for COVID, or they're like, I'm not going to take a chance and ruin my career if it not have a camp. Like some of these people's gyms are not open. Majority of these people's gyms are not open.
No, there's a lot of guys that, they're training out of their garage.
Yep.
They're pulling guys in, they're doing things in the backyard, and some of them are to the point saying, I can't get myself prepared the right way. I'm not going to fight. I think the UFC is having to deal with that, and it's not an easy thing, for the fighter. It's not an easy thing for the promotion. It's tough, but I thought I was thinking, man, I've seen Maki fight quite a few times on the UFC in the last couple of months. So,
jeez, that's a lot. But hey, made some money. Make that money.
Good for him.
Make that money. What else? What you got there, Dave?
So I started a new weighing-in club called the VIT Club. t-shirt. People who are rocking weighing in t-shirts get to email us fan questions. The VITs.
VITs. Okay, I like what you did there.
Yeah, like,
He's waiting for. He wants to be patted on the back right now, John. John, just say good job, Dave.
Good job, Dave.
Good job.
So I reached out to
You're
a bunch
so
of these
needy. I
guys.
swear. You're so
Excellent
needy.
idea.
I just want to make sure you get it because I know your brain doesn't work that fast anymore. So
Half the time I'm trying. I don't have no idea what the fuck you're saying because I don't understand your accent. Go ahead.
So Andreas Leo asked, in boxing you see boxers signed to different promotions and still end up fighting each other. You even co-promote events. You do. Do you ever see a future where Dana in the UFC will get with Scott and his great team at Bellator and start to co-promote fights between their fighters for super fights? It would be insane to see a lightweight Bellator fighter winning the UFC title or vice versa in any weight class.
Go ahead, John.
Okay.
we talk about this a lot, but
No.
yeah.
Oh,
If you look at the world of boxing and you see what, if I named a boxer and said, who's this promoter? No one knows for the most part. All right. If I said, who is Tyson Fury's promoter? Very few people are going to know. All right. If I said, who is Anthony Joshua's promoter? Very few people are going to know. So in the world of boxing, no promoter has done what the UFC has done. And that's make the promotion bigger than the fighters and bigger than the sport itself. So Top Rank or Don King or PBC or any of those, Golden Boy, none of them are bigger than boxing. And most people don't care about who the boxer is promoted by. But in the world of MMA, you got to give it to the UFC. They have created this situation where many people believe that the UFC is the sport. Mm-hmm. They call it UFC. I used to have a shirt that used to say, I train UFC, bro. Because it was, people just didn't understand. The UFC is a promotion within the sport, not the sport. And that's not putting them down. They've done a fantastic job of marketing their promotion into people believing that they're the sport. They're not the sport. And it doesn't do them any good to put their fighters who they have under contract against a fighter from a different promotion that could possibly beat that fighter, because then it shows everybody that, hey, those fighters from other places are just as good, if not better, than some of the fighters that are fighting in the UFC. So it doesn't help the UFC in any way. So why are they going to do it? They're not going to do it. Dana went through this long ago. He sent fighters like Chuck Liddell to Pride because he was trying to get the sport bigger, and he was trying to do a deal with Pride to get some of the fighters from Pride to fight in the UFC, and that kind of backfired on him. And from that point, he said, I'm never doing that again. And he hasn't really. So, he has showed that I know what I'm doing with this. As far as you're not under contract with me, you are not fighting in the UFC. So I don't think you're going to see any of these cross promotion fights in the UFC. I think you could see cross promotion fights like Bellator did with Ryzen, other promoters, but it's not going to happen with UFC.
No, I agree with you 100%. We've talked about this. It's not going to happen. There's, I know Scott Coker is open to it. You've seen that with Ryzen, but it's not going to happen. So I really don't want to even entertain the issue of, or the conversation of, hey, let's cross promote. Let's see if Patricio beats Volkanovski. I don't even give it.
You got to admit,
I love it.
You got to love what Patricio's been doing.
I love it.
You talk about a guy saying, "Oh, hey, Dana White, I'll bet $1 million that I beat your boy." So it's like, that's only going to inspire Volkanovski to try to, come back and say, "Oh, dude, let's do it," because he believes he's the best in the world, and Patricio believes he's the best in the world. That's the way it's supposed to be, and it would be wonderful, if you could see that fight.
Yeah, especially.
But
Especially those two, because stylistically, they make for a fucking great fight.
Oh, yes, they do.
I think Patricio has a hard time with
fantastic.
Max. I think he has a hard time with Max, just like Volkanovski has a hard time with Max. You know, the last fight I gave it to Max. I gave Volkanovski the first fight against Max.
Yep.
Stylistically, though, Max made some adjustments, and Volkanovski didn't fight the same way he did the first fight. And so, but I think if you put Patricio in there with Volkanovski, I think it makes for a very fun fight because they're both short, stocky, muscle guys, and both very fast, both have good power. Yeah, both hit hard. Both they're just little tanks, man, both of them. That makes for a fun fight. But look, if we can go on with the whole Usman and Lima, we can go on to Gegard and whoever and Izzy, we can go on and on and on. But I'm gonna take this a different way. I'm gonna take that question, I'm gonna run it a different direction. I could care less if we see cross promotion, as long as I can have more cross promotion trades. I want to see fighters being traded from Bellator, UFC, One. I know we've seen it with what's it called, Eddie, or not Eddie, but
yeah, but that wasn't a trade.
I get it, but I'm saying I
want
to see more of that though. I want to see it was DJ and Ben Askren.
But I want you to think about this. When you signed a contract, and we'll say you signed the contract with Strikeforce, and Scott traded you to, we'll say, One FC, or Scott traded you to the LFA, would you have been happy? You were fighting in San Jose in front of your hometown people, and would you have been happy that all of a sudden that's gone?
No, but that's not this.
You have no control.
You're right. You don't have any control in the NBA either.
No, I'm not talking about the NBA, but in fighting, the one thing that you have control of is when you sign with that fight promotion, that's where you're going to be fighting.
I understand that.
Until they release you.
I do understand that.
And it's not like they're releasing you and telling you where you have to go.
I'm just simply saying I would rather see more trades. Like you're sitting here trying to pitch the argument that I understand. I understand exactly what you're talking about. You're taking the side of the fighter. And yes, and I normally do that as well. But in this situation, I know I'm never going to see cross promotion. So what I want to see is I want to see some more trades. I want to see one fighter go from one organization to the other with potential of seeing title fights against each other. Like I would love it. And just Max is no longer their champion. I would love for them to trade Max to Bellator. And then we give them somebody that we have, whether it's Gegard or whether it's, whoever else. I'm just simply saying it would be nice to have those type of things happen, whether it's one. I would love to see Eddie come back and fight. Okay,
hold on. But you brought up you would love to see Max go to Bellator. Okay.
I'm throwing out names. I mean,
yeah, but that's fine. We'll say it was Max. And Max would be a good one because he'd be able to fight in Hawaii for once, and that would be a good thing too. But who would you say you'd have to give up? If you're the UFC, who are you going to take to give up Max Holloway?
I mean,
it's going to have to be someone good.
Yeah, it will be someone good. I mean,
so who? You going to give up AJ McKee?
No, I'll probably give up Lima.
You give up Lima?
Yep.
You're going to give up a champion for a guy that's not a champion?
Probably put him somewhere in there. I might move, maybe. I can't think. Maybe. I mean, outside of that, who else would you get? MVP.
Okay.
If you want to say no, if you want, but I mean, you got to look at it too. How old is Max and how old is MVP? I think MVP is a little bit older than Max. So like you got to look at the age too. How many years do I have left on you? Like at least with Lima, right? Like he's pretty much wiped out the division. There's a couple guys sure that are still in there, but he's wiped out the welterweight division. Let him go. And then we'll take Max, and Max can start trying to fight the guy. We have a stacked 145-pound division. That's why we're having that tournament right now. You've got Emmanuel Sanchez, you've got Pedro Cavallo, you've got all these guys that are there. It's a whole new group of people for him to fight. Max has already wiped out his division, except for Volkanovski. Let's move on. Let's make that trade. That's just me. I'm not trying to let's put our guys against each other. I get it, but let's do trades to make this more interesting. Like you have no vested interest in that guy anymore. Okay, your guy now. Let's say Max comes over, he wouldn't get it. Maybe he wouldn't get an automatic title shot because he's not a champion. Have him fight the winner of the guy person who lost in the finals of the tournament, AJ McKee, or pay whoever else it is. You know, I mean, you have guys that are there that they could fight. It makes sense. I mean, like for me, I want to see more trades. And I know it sucks for a fighter to be traded, but it's no different than a Major League Baseball player, a football player, or a basketball player. And I get it. They're making a lot more money than these fighters are. So they can go wherever the fuck they need to make money. And the majority of the time it's in the country. You know, I mean, you have the Toronto, Blue Jays, I think. You know, that's the only other spot. But outside of that, all baseball is played here in the U.S. With fighting, it's not that way. Sure, the UFC is here. You know, Bellator is here. But if you get traded to one, I mean, you're going to be fighting in PFE. You know, you'll be fighting in Kuala Lumpur. You'll be fighting in Jakarta. You'll be fighting in Beijing and
Singapore,
Philippines, Manila. You'll be fighting all around, you know, Asia. Yeah. So if you don't want to fight that, but that's also something, if you get traded, you go over there and you say, hey, look, if I'm getting traded to here and I don't really want to be here, let's talk contract negotiation. That's what a lot of players do. I don't want to be here. I don't want to play. I don't want to fight. Sure, you can sit out, but no one's going to make that trade and say, hey, I'm not going to pay you to come over here and sit out. I'm going to have you on the roster. And, you know, let's work a deal out. Let's get you happy and make you happy here. Scott Coker did that with Will Brooks when he first came in. Will Brooks said he wasn't happy at Bellator. He was having some fits, this and that. Scott made some adjustments for him, gave him a pay grade, a pay increase, took care of him, and Will still shit the bed. But, you know, and so then we let him go. But you know what I mean? But you know, you got to do what you can to try and make fighters happy. And I think Coker did that. I think Chaudhry from one, I think he does whatever he can to make his fighters happy, you know, and Dana is up and down. There's times he will and there's times he won't, you know, but I'd love to see trades. I think outside of saying like, hey, let's have our guys fight your guys. Let's just say, hey, Max has wiped out that division. And I'm only using Max because it's such an easy name to cross promote with and people will understand who I'm talking about. But Max has already wiped out that division pretty much outside of Volkanovski. You know, and Patricio's pretty much, if he gets through this tournament, he will have wiped out everyone in the weight class, and sometimes 2 or 3 times. You know, I mean, he's fought Daniel Weichel twice. He's fought
Strauss like 5 times.
Yeah, 5 times. He's fought other guys that are in this tournament. He's fought him a couple of times. You know what I mean? But like here, let me say Max Holloway and Adam Borch. That makes for a very fun fight. Adam Borch just fought a 155-pounder his last fight. Looked good. Started off a little slow, but looked good. Size-wise, he's huge. Very talented. Good on the ground. Good on the feet. There's a lot of guys that I think they would make for fun fights with Max Holloway. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, and I love Lima. I'm not trying to like get rid of him, obviously. I think he's the best welterweight in the world. But I understand other people's arguments for other people. For you know, Usman or for whoever else is over there. I get it. I understand it. But I want to see Lima's already wiped out that division. Okay, and we're talking about having him fight guys again. That's why he's going to fight Gegard Mousasi. Why not let him? That's the thing. Let him go. Let's see how he does. You know, and we'll get over somebody that can fight, you know, Patricio or somebody else. I mean, these are the names that I have in my head right now. Just an idea. I get it. It would suck to be a fighter being traded. I understand, but I would like to see more of that.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
So I've heard John Fitch a few times talk about how in MMA, based on the Ali Act, the promotion owning the titles is illegal, and so technically, like the UFC shouldn't be able to have UFC belts, and so that should enable co-promoting. What's your understanding of that, and do you have any like additional insight there?
It is as simple as it gets. The UFC has been very staunch in their support of paying millions of dollars to stop the Ali Act coming into MMA. And this is there's been a group that has tried to get the Ali Act put into, you need to understand what occurred. The Ali Act is not so much, you know, Mike Tyson was under the management and promotion of Don King at a certain point in his career. And Don King took advantage of him in a lot of ways. You know, Mike Tyson had towels. Well, those towels cost Mike Tyson $86,000 when you look at things that were taken out of his paycheck, his purse for fighting, you know, $86,000 for white towels. So, you know, these are all things where you can look and say, Mike Tyson can look and say, Don King, he stole from me. And he did. So what occurred was the Ali Act was Congress got together and there was a special committee that was put together that came up with the Ali Act. They named it after Muhammad Ali. And the thing that was said is, first off, a promoter could not manage a fighter. That was one of the big things. So you couldn't get someone that basically had ownership of this fighter and then promote them. And you can look at the UFC contracts and you can say, well, they don't have the management, but the contracts themselves will not work under the Ali Act. All of those contracts would have to change, and they would have to change for a multitude of reasons, but simple things that Randy Couture fought against forever, because you can go back and you look at Randy's career with the UFC. Randy was in the UFC at UFC 13. That was his first fight there. And he left after winning Maurice Smith and against Kevin Randall. But one of his things was when he won that belt, that's close to about the time that Zuffa bought the UFC. That was the Fertitas. And you can go back and they did they were doing advertising at the time, trying to build things. And they took all of the champions for the most part, which at the time was, Tito Ortiz was their big guy. Jens Pulver was the lightweight champion, and Carlos Newton had just beaten Pat Miletich. And you had these champions, and they took Chuck Liddell and put him in there, even though Tito was the champion of the light heavyweights. And Randy Couture was the heavyweight champion, but they had put Pedro Hizzo, who they believed was going to beat Randy. Well, he lost to Randy at UFC 31, but it was close, and he put a whooping on Randy's legs. Well, then they put him in an immediate rematch against Randy, and Randy whooped him badly because he figured out how to fight against him. But Randy was always in this fight with them about what he called his ancillary rights, the rights for them to own his voice and likeness and everything. And what you're seeing out of, go ahead and look at the UFC game. All right. There's a lot of things going on in that thing, that the UFC video game, you don't see me in it. And that was because I told them long ago, I don't want to be in it. And, they offered money and I said, not interested in it. I don't care about being in your video game. But now I've even seen, they got Mike Beltran, who is, a referee. And he's one of the people you can make as a fighter in that UFC game. They haven't paid him a cent. They haven't paid him anything. Mm. And you look and you go, they're stealing his ancillary rights. That's what Randy was always in a battle with the UFC over. And that's part of what the Muhammad Ali Act starts to cover, is you can't have those types of things. If you are going to have a video game right now under the contract that the UFC has, as soon as you sign the contract, you as a fighter are handing over your ancillary rights, your likeness, your voice, everything about you, they can use in perpetuity, we'll say, meaning forever. So it doesn't matter if you're not fighting for them. You're not fighting for them. They can put you in the video game because you at one time signed a contract with them. And now they own your likeness in perpetuity. They can put you in there and they owe you nothing. They don't have to pay you for it. That's the kind of things that the Ali Act was there to make sure didn't happen. The other part was that the promoters had to give access to the numbers. How much money did that show do to the actual fighters and their management? And they had to have a certain percentage that went to the fighters. Well, the UFC doesn't have that in the world of MMA. They pay the fighters whatever they're going to pay, and they're going to make whatever they make, and nobody knows what it is. So there's a lot of things that would have to change if the Ali Act came into MMA. And it's all things, I'm telling you right now, the UFC will fight tooth and nail to make sure it never happens.
Of course. You were talking about the losing the rights of basically their identity. Yep. It's weird because I did sign my contract to fight for them, but it wasn't in the contract. We actually took it out and they were okay with it, but they came back to me like on my last 2 fights with them, and they tried to get me to sign it. And we went through this whole John Fitch thing. And it was so funny because every time they had a intern, obviously trying to get you fitted for your Reebok gear for my last fight. It was the only time I ever had to wear Reebok. And I love how the interns try to talk to you. Like you need to sign this paperwork. And if you don't sign it, like, you know, like I'll tell Dana. And I was like, well, you can tell Dana that I'm not signing that. And so it's one of those, every turn it was like, oh, just sign this, just sign that. And they would try to catch you slipping at every turn. When you go somewhere, here's another thing. You got to sign this if you're going to do this event. And has nothing to do with the event. Has to do with what they're trying to get you to sign.
Future things.
And and majority of it is the rights to your name, the rights to your nickname, the rights to, like you said, your voice and all the other things that they want to use you in. I did do the thing with the video game with EA, because I was already in the EA game with Strikeforce when we actually had the EA. So I had already done a deal with EA. I was like, what's the point? Like, I'm already with EA. But I did understand that it was with the UFC. So now they have the rights to use my name in the video game, which I doubt I'll probably be in that thing for very long. So, but yeah, other than that though, like all the other stuff was done separately, like my training cards and my action figures and all that stuff was all done separately through my own management that they never did for me. So that was nice. That was but it's up to you. Do you want them? Here's the thing. Do you want them doing, sure, cool, you have an action figure, but you didn't make anything off of it. Is it cool to you? Is it cool to you then?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's the whole point. You know, when it came to, you know, I had been in the first video games they had, you know, the first one I think was for Dreamcast. You know, and it was, you know, that was the first UFC videos. And I was in like 4 of the first series of them. And then when THQ was coming, and that was this big thing. And they came to me and they offered $3,000 to be in the video game. And I had told them, nah, I'm not interested. And they're, what do you mean you're not interested? I don't care about being in the video game. It doesn't matter to me. I've been in them and it doesn't do anything. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, why? I just told you I don't care. So they said, okay. And so then it was all of a sudden I started getting calls from the UFC saying, hey, what's going on here? Why are you not doing this? It's because I don't care about being in the video game. Well, we want you to be in the video game. I said, that's okay, fine. Then tell them to pay me more money. Right. And well, how much do you want? I said, well, I want more than the $3,000. They go, well, okay. So if we get you 5,000, I said, no, it's not going to be enough either. I said, you don't seem to, I don't care. I'm willing to give up the $3,000. I'm willing to give up the 5. I don't care. I don't want to be in it. So they said, well, this doesn't make sense. I said, yes, it does.
Yeah.
I said, because see, I don't owe THQ anything. Mm-hmm. I said, they have paid you this large amount of money for them to be able to make this game and have UFC on it. And you're getting paid. I go, and so you want to put my ugly face on it. Okay. Well, I don't owe THQ anything. So if they want to put it on that game, then they can pay me. Yeah. I go, and if they don't pay me, then I'm not on the game and it doesn't matter to me. And they go, but it's for us. I said, no, I understand the way you're saying it's for you, but I'm not taking any money from you. You've already made your money. In fact, I'll tell you this. If you're going to tell me that you're the one paying the guys like me to be in it, I'll do it for free. That's how much the money means, but I don't care. You can have it. I'll let you do it for free. But if it's not, and that check is coming from THQ, I want a lot more money.
Yeah.
And they go, all right, we'll get back to you. And then that was it. And I was done. And I was like, and I'm okay with that. You know, it's like, it's them just figuring that, hey, we can throw you this little tidbit and you're going to be happy. Well, or it's that important for you to be in a video game.
Well, you have to remember,
it is, do it.
You have to remember that a lot of the people that they do this to are struggling fighters that need that 3,000, that 5,000, or fighters that are, you know, hey, I'm doing it. I'm a company man. I'm going to do it for, I
did that.
That's beside the point. You know, I'm
earlier one.
You know, I know when Strikeforce did their EA game or whatever, I was all gung ho because I was like really excited about the fact like I'm going to be in a video game, something I can show my kids later on. But little did I know the fucking video games now, they happen so fast and the technology is so much faster. That video game now, it's like probably all pixelated. Like if I was to show my kid, they don't even make that console anymore.
It doesn't even look like you.
Yeah, it does. It's like my nose is really big and but that actually is just like me. Anyways, you know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like I was so enamored with the fact that like, oh wow, I'm gonna be in this game. But then little did I know, by the time if I was to ever have kids, I'm not gonna look like that. That game console's out of date. It's never gonna play. So it doesn't make a difference now. So when you were talking about, I really don't care. There's a reason why you don't care, because in 10 years, that game's obsolete. That console's probably obsolete as well. Everything is obsolete. Yep. So there's no reason for it. So there's a lot of other ways. Is there anything else, Dave? What you got?
Let me just find this person's name. So Peter Jackson asks, how many MMA fans will switch to Bellator because of Dana's endorsement of Trump? I don't know if he wants a number. I think he just wants to.
I don't think anyone. People are. I mean, you may see what's going on right now in Major League Baseball and definitely in the NBA, and I think you're going to probably see it in football. People will stop watching.
They are stopping watching.
Yeah, the numbers will not lie. The biggest game normally, especially in the last 2 years, has been the Clippers and the Lakers in the NBA. And that game on opening day, because of all the protesting, the numbers went from normally being like anywhere between 3.5 to 4 million views to 1.2.5, 1.3. That lets you know on an opening game that the American public just does not care or does not want to be caught up in all the protesting with sports. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't care about what's going on in the U.S. They just don't, when they flip on the TV to watch sports, they don't want to deal with it.
It's a release. And they want to get away from it.
Dana's done a good job of separating his support for Trump with his business. He talks and speaks about him, at whatever the convention RNC. At the RNC. He also has spoken for him before, I think for his acceptance speech or something when he was elected or before he was elected. Anyways, all those things.
He did the RNC twice.
Yeah. So he does make it publicly known, but he doesn't pump that at his events. He's not telling fighters that they can't do whatever it is they want to do. The fighters just aren't doing that. And I think that's what the difference is going to be. Maybe people maybe will stop watching, but I can tell you now, it could end up being a crossover what you're seeing in the NBA and Major League Baseball. And I think the only sport right now that's not taking a real bad hit is the NHL. But even their numbers are down, but they're not taking as bad a hit as the NBA and Major League Baseball. So, and I think the NFL, if the same thing happens with them and on their opening day or their first couple days or whatever it is, the numbers are going to drop. I already have a ton of friends that I do 3 fantasy leagues, and all 3 of them said, nah, we're good. We're not doing it this year. And I was like, ooh, I mean, that's 3 leagues. Each league has 12 people. I mean,
well, you got to look and say, hardworking people, let's just be honest. I thought Colby Covington actually put out a pretty good tweet about, you're playing a kid's game, making a lot of money and living. Go get a real job and see what it's like. Be a cop.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm not saying that they should be a cop, but people watch sports to get away from reality at times. They watch it so they can get away from the hard work and the job and the politics and everything that's going on. They want to, separate themselves. And when all of a sudden it's now just part of that world too, like, screw it, I'm done. Get me out of here.
Yeah. And
you're going to lose your fan base, and it's going to be hard for them to get it back. You could take 2 people. You're talking about MMA. I think Tito and Dana hate each other. They're both Trump supporters, so they get along in that one aspect. And so, but they hate each other other than that. Politics. People, if you're allowing politics to get into your life in a way that is, making it to where you can't talk with someone or be friends with someone because of their politics, you've let it get too deep. Deep.
Yeah, I can't even go on Facebook right now because all it is just It's like Joe Rogan talks about all the time. It's tribalism. It's my team is the best and my team is this, my team is that. But guess what? Somewhere in the middle there is where you both lie. You're just fighting for your team and sound very, very fucking stupid. You know, and that's the problem. Like, they're so gung-ho on the internet talking about that. But if we sat two of you idiots together, you guys would both realize that you both care for people here, you both care for people here, and there's somewhere in the middle is where we lie. And that's the problem with that, like Tyson said. Like, a lot of you are getting really comfortable talking shit to people on the internet without getting socked in the mouth. And that's a big problem, because now you've got moms with 3 kids talking about, I'm gonna knock you out or I'm gonna punch you in the face. I'm like, shut up. Like, you're on Facebook, you know. And as far as with, I don't think it's gonna cost them anything. I think because the fighters don't do that. And the fighters, I mean, there's no national anthem, so they're not kneeling for anything. They can be vocal on their own time. Dana's made it very clear over the years about talking about politics when it comes to the fight game. Fighters do not talk about it. It's wise for you not to talk about it, because it will haunt you. You know, stay away from all the other stuff, you know, that goes along with politics, you know, and stay away from religion. Don't bother. Like, just, I know, if you are Catholic, be Catholic at home or in your church. If you're a Christian, be Christian at home or in your church or around your family. I mean, he does make a point, because people do get turned off by it, and then that will hurt your viewership. And then you'll
turn on one person, you're going to turn off another.
Yep.
And so why? Just turn them all on with your fighting ability. There's no reason to bring any of that into any part of it. It's just crazy.
I mean, but Podcast Dave here deleted his Facebook because he was like in straight up wars after he tells us not to go in the comment section and read them. But this guy can't go on his own Facebook. He's like venting to me one day about, I'm just going to delete it, man. I was like, don't delete it. Just keep it until after the election. All this shit will go away.
I deleted it.
I deleted it
because he couldn't handle reading people's posts. That's why.
Getting fed up. Like, dude, even, oh yeah. Anyway.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there's two sides to it, and somewhere in the middle, everyone can, I think, get along. The problem is we just have such a divide right now. And it's not, and I think it goes both ways. I think it's both sides. I think it's both parties, and it's even the libertarian parties. It's all three of their faults. It's everyone's fault. I mean, really, you just got, I think, as human beings, we all need to sit down and realize that in the middle, we all agree that human life is important, and we should focus on that. And what we got to do to make sure that everyone is healthy, happy, and, you know, and have work, job, take care of their families, do things like that. Anyways, is that it?
Anything else, Dave? Let's go.
I have one more for the VIT fan question.
VIT fan questions.
VIT, he likes saying it.
From Tyler Wilburn, he just asked simply, most dangerous strike you have seen? ?
There's no doubt right now. The most dangerous strike right now in the game is the calf kick. It changes the game.
You're not saying, I don't think he means it that way. Okay, I understand the way you're saying it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the one that everyone's going to have to figure out how to deal with, you know, change, check, whatever you want to say. I think he's saying, what's the most dangerous strike as far as, you know, is a knee to the head the most dangerous strike? Is a spinning back kick the most dangerous? At least I think that's what he's saying.
Francis Ngannou's left hook.
Yeah, there you go, man. It's a good one right there.
Yeah, he's I mean, everything he does is just nasty. I mean, realistically, I think probably the most dangerous strike, if it's connected properly, will be Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, that up kick right to the chin. You know, Machida and Randy, the same thing. Like, I mean, I think to me, that's probably the most dangerous that is out there and available, I think, if it lands properly. What do you think?
I've always said it's amazing where people start to get into this, you know, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Or a kick to the knee, a kick to the here. It's like we allow someone to use a baseball bat, basically, which is their shin, and launch that baseball bat at about 80 miles per hour upside someone's head, similar to what happened to Ryan Bader in the Nemkov fight.
Yeah.
All right. And that's okay. So yeah, taking a shin and allowing it to hit someone's skull is not a good thing, but we allow it. Same as taking a knee and allowing it to land in the middle of someone's face. You can go back and watch what MVP did to, Cyborg Santos and crushing the front sinus area of his skull. Those types of blows, they're dangerous. I'm not saying they're not, but it's part of our sport, and fighters know how to deal with them for the most part. But every now and then, someone's going to launch one and it's going to land.
Yeah.
Look at that kick right there.
Oh,
Podcast Dave just put up a kick. I've never seen that guy before.
Oh, man. Gosh, where's the time gone? Well, that was like, 7 years ago?
It's a while ago.
Long time, man. I'm old. Jeez.
Look at Cyborg. Look at Cyborg. Dude.
That's absolutely fucking disgusting. His whole his skull was caved in. That's so gross. That would actually be an improvement on Podcast Dave's face, though.
Did you see the scar on his head when they fixed that?
No.
It went ear to ear in this, not quite, completely. It had a little curve to it, but all the way across. They peeled the whole front of his face off to be able to put metal plates and to fix that. It's just, you look at what they did. It's like, crazy.
I can see
there
it.
you go. There's the scar.
Oh my goodness. Now,
crazy.
With a metal plate, though, he can't fight again.
He's never fought since.
Yeah, I know.
But he was towards the end of his career anyway. So, but yeah, he hasn't fought since, and that's a good thing. But he looks good now. They fixed him up good. But man, you look and you go, that's what a well-placed knee in the skull or a shin can do.
Jeez. No, thank you. I'll pass. Hard pass, buddy.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. God, he was ripped, man, when he was younger. Good.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Yeah. Just all right, my man. Well, hey, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed the show. The fights tonight were, there was a couple good ones that we talked about. So if you guys haven't had a chance to watch the fights, go back and watch them. Come back, hit the comment section. Let us know what you guys think of what we said. Also, go to prowrestlingtees.com/weighing in. And then also our promo code is Underdog, right? That's available until August 31st.
20% off.
20% off.
Boom.
Also, you have enough time still left in a couple days to buy all
your
of the blue shirts.
T-shirt.
Blue
You
shirts.
don't want blue. Look at that blue.
Blue. You want to walk around in a red
that is
shirt and
ugly.
stand out like that? How horrible that would be.
Red makes guys look good, man.
Blue, all blue, baby, all blue. So we're doing a contest. John and I will sign a shirt for whoever we pick out of the emails. So make sure you register with your email, which I believe they have to, correct? When they pick up a shirt.
Yeah, use the correct email, please.
Yes, use the correct email so we can email you and get this thing sent off to you guys. So we will pick a random email from a winner. So if John wins, which I doubt he will, okay, then we will pick someone who bought a John shirt from a random email. And then also if I win,
I got to tell you how concerned I am about this.
You
Very concerned.
Should be.
If you own one of these t-shirts already, check your inbox for an email from Weighing In. It might be in your junk folder, so just check there, because I got a bunch of you guys that emailed back already, but some of you didn't. So just email back with your fan question and we'll get it on the show at some point.
And then we had this fan question thing tonight, right? Which was the VIT, okay, which is VIT and not VIP, but yeah, VIT for if you bought a t-shirt and you used your email, Dave will be in contact with you guys. You guys can email in your fan questions and you guys will get priority over the fan questions that we answer first. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go to YouTube, hit the thumbs up. That shares our videos. Our numbers are growing and we owe it all to you, as well as all the other platforms, YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, everything you can think of. Because our audio platforms, we want to get up as well. You guys can listen to us in the car, in traffic, whatever it is, on the road trips, visiting family. Labor Day weekend's coming up. Maybe you can listen to us while you guys are in the car there as well. So we hope you guys enjoyed our show and we will see you guys next week. What do you think, John?
Sounds good to me, brother.
All right,
everyone.
See you guys later. Bye.